Welcome back to Otakuspect. Today's episode is Gurren Lagann.
Can you dig it?
Today's episode, we actually have two special guests who, strangely for once, are not Vice. Today's special guests are Midgets. Say hello.
Hi.
And we have Nerdy from his own channel. We'll let him explain that real quick.
Yellow. It's not really like anything special. It's just me and my friends. We just talk about random stuff, and it's all live. It's not pre-recorded or anything. So that's basically all I need to know.
Well then, we're gonna jump into a few special theories from our great friend and co-host Zork.
Alright, right before I start this, I'm gonna acknowledge, first off, I took one of these from this guy on YouTube that's called Rebel Taxi. He's a great guy, and he's really underrated. Everybody needs to look at him. Then also there was a PDF file that had a complete theory on it, and which I took a lot of these from. So, with saying that, now I'm going to jump into first story is Plato's Allegory of the Cave. A story about 4 people that were chained up from birth to stare at the cave wall. Behind them was just one fire that continuously kept going until they, forever. Anyways, in front of the fire were these people who would cast shadow puppets. So the people that were chained up could not move their head and had to constantly stare at the wall, eventually thinking that these shadow puppets that they were seeing were reality. And anytime any of them spoke or anything like that, they didn't think it was the person next to them, they thought it was the shadows. So, with that, one day, one of the people were sent out and got to see the world. When he saw the world, experienced everything that he got to experience with the outside world. The sun, grass, everything. He got to figure out what reality was. Then when he comes back to tell his friends about it, they laugh at him, really ridicule him, and say that he doesn't know anything. And which leads to the greatest line I've ever read in any sort of literature. And if they could talk to one another, don't you think they would suppose that the name they used implied to the things that they see passing before them? That line alone has so many implications and so many bodies of it. The reason that this goes into Gurren Lagann is because it is the exact same story for the beginning of Gurren Lagann, which, like, let's look at it like Kamina is the guy who gets to go out. When he was younger, he got to go out and experience the world, see what it was, and also feel the heartache of seeing his dad leave him and say, one day, son, you will come out of here, and you will see me again.
I actually kind of want to bring something up from the first episode. Those chicks that were like bashing at Simone after he like got out from digging. First of all, why did they think that they could like pull off some like snooty high school girl bullshit like that? And secondly, isn't that kind of like their job for like expanding their community in the village?
What do you mean?
Like the reason why Simone was digging so much, he should be like given more credit and not just be bagged on. I mean,
well, see, the thing is, they saw him as inferior to the fact that he wasn't masculine. That really did play into the part of, like, obviously, like, considering the show was about willpower and all like that, they couldn't have something that was like, oh, hey, this shy little kid who is obviously the best worker is still not dominant in any way, shape, or form. They could not have, like, any sort of girls, like, being like, oh, Simone, you're so great, because that would just...
No, but, I mean, that's basically their job, because they're expanding their village through these tunnels.
Again, it just wouldn't work, because the whole show is basically based around metaphors anyways. That's like...
Isn't every
that
anime...
the point?
Yeah, isn't every anime based around metaphors?
Yeah, but they were more making fun of him because he was shy and awkward.
Oh, okay, fair enough.
And what about like
high school?
What about like inside inspirations like in Fullmetal Alchemist? I'd give up an arm and a leg for you. See, no, seriously.
Also, once Kamina came back and experienced the outside world, He tried telling the other villagers for years about what's out there and everything, and they just wouldn't believe him, telling him that he's lying, he's an idiot, he knows nothing, and he's worthless. But he never stopped that, and he was always just like, no, there is something out there, and I'm going to prove it to you guys one day. Then finally the day comes, and he's like, now I'm gonna leave. Fuck you, bitches. So, with also that, I wanted just to go into that before I go into, like, backgrounds and behind-the-scenes stuff.
Also, the way he said it in, like, the most caucus, but most, like, anime realistic way. And he did it shirtless, which not most of them do that.
Yeah, I know. He's great at it. Oh, my God. Okay, so the head writer of the show was Kazuki Nakashima. He's not actually typically an anime writer, but he does work for Studio Trigger. He more writes plays, novels, and stuff like that. One of his classifications is anime screenwriter, but obviously you'd have to do something like that, and we're going into that. The main inspiration for Gurren Lagann was a show called Getter Robo. Getter Robo was made by Ken Ishikawa, and it was... Nakashima always refers to Ishikawa as his sensei, and saying he always uses him as, like, he refers to himself as Ishikawa's #1 fan. So with that, I'm going to go into an analysis with where it goes from there. Getter Robo is basically about the same kind of plot point of that the robots they combine, and also they are powered by willpower. It goes into an analysis of, like, the same attacks are also used in Getter Robo and Gurren Lagann, which, like, to explain, for example, any of you who know Lucky Star and the dentist, pun, whatever, the dentist running gag, whatever, Getter 2 is a robot that's combined with the jaguar, bear, and eagle, which has the Getter drill, which is, the drill from its left arm, sort of like Simone's, who also uses a drill from his left arm. A drill missile, which pretty much, same thing for Simone when he throws, like, Lagann and, uses himself as a drill bullet. And Drill Storm, which... creating tornado and blah, blah, blah. That really doesn't have anything to do with it. But you know what? It still works because it's a drill. Everything about Gurren Lagann, even to the point of, like, some of the characters' names, are related to spirals or drills or any sort of, like that.
Basically, like DNA.
I don't know. Okay. Yeah, no, not mostly DNA. Well, yeah, DNA does play a part in it. But most of it is that the DNA, spiral is just a basic energy. So everything revolved around that is, like, to give the best example would be that of the Beastmen. The Beastmen are, like, they can't reproduce. So they can't grow any sort of power or grow any sort of change in their DNA.
Oh, the lonely nights.
Yeah. That's why Viro's so mad. Anyways, with that, they can't... So basically, they don't have spiral energy because they can't grow or they can't change anything. So therefore, the spiral is ended.
Now, I'd just like to jump in here for a second and remark that the Beastmen, like you said, they cannot reproduce, so they don't count as human. That means that they cannot exactly evolve. Therefore, their DNA will stay the same throughout the centuries. So that's one of the other reasons why they can't exactly pilot the gunmen here.
Well, one of the questions...
Basically, just as I said, they're stopped. They don't have spiral energy, which would imply the same as evolution.
Exactly.
Well, I have a question. Considering that not any particular beastman is the same, how are they breeding if they're not able to breed? Because not one of them resembles the other.
Anyways, so after that, even to the point of, like, DNA is always referenced in the show, even to the point that the Lord Genome and his 4 generals adenine. It's what? Fuck, can someone read these for me?
Yes, I got you. All right.
What
are you
The
reading?
generals are called Adione, Thymilth, Guam, and Cytomander.
What?
Yes. So, which all reference in DNA this building block of, obviously, you get it. Anyways,
Science.
yeah. Also, there's also a reoccurring factor of the universe in Gurren Lagann, especially in the second arch, which really, second movie, second season, blah, blah, blah. If you really look at it, our solar system is in a spiral. They go around in a circular motion. Also, as much as galaxies, they also spin in a spiral. Which, if you've seen the outer supercluster of galaxies called Leniakea, it's just strings. And hopefully, I think if we keep going out, we'll eventually see more strings of just spirals. So, which implies that literally everything in our universe revolves around spirals and anything like that, which comes back to the anti-spiral, who's in the show, blah, 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 who basically hit an evolutionary point, which this actually goes back to Allegory of the Cave, where they have everyone chained up, which is direct reference to Allegory of the Cave. Like, they use literally nothing but their energy to create, but at the same time, they don't create anything because they can't evolve any more than they already have.
Ooh.
So,
Sad face.
yeah, I know, right?
You're gonna need some water for that.
Oh my god.
But Kamina is basically their push to keep on going, even if they hit some sort of point, which Simon has been using that. Even after death, Kamina is using his energy to tell them to push the limitations of anything possible. Don't ever have any sort of limits. Don't care about it. Just keep going. And obviously that's everywhere in the whole show. So spiral energy and all like that is direct symbols of willpower and blah, 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 anything like that. And with it, mostly goes into, size matter. The size of Gurren Lagann and stuff like that. Which, based on scientific law, the only a divine being can accomplish getting extra mass from nowhere. So that means that Kamina, in a way, is giving them divine will. So, which, again, implies that spiral energy is a symbol for energy, DNA, evolution, the power of human spirit, and divine will.
All right, I would just like to jump in here and say, along with the whole Beastmen thing that we did mention earlier, the only confirmed information we do have about the Beastmen process of actually being able to have Beastmen, considering they can't reproduce, is that the Beastmen have no cell reproduction, so they have to be put into a coma-like sleep to stop from cell degeneration, unless they have an immortal body like the one given to Viral.
Okay, well, my question is, do they have any doctors? Because all of them are
Yes.
so different. But how... One of them is parts...
Yes. The best part about Gurren Lagann is that even though it does have all this symbolism and metaphors, it basically, when it doesn't know how to explain something, it basically just says, deal with it.
You're gonna have to get over yourself for a second and just deal with it. God, people.
I mean, this isn't Neon Genesis, it's Gurren Lagann.
Alright, so let's just kind of move away from the whole Beastmen and DNA helix thing and all that stuff.
Okay, now the last
whole
thing is...
spiral, because we kind of need to go on to a few other topics besides... And let's first go over, like, a few of the robot characters, and by robot, I mean gunmen, and just the more well-known ones at the very beginning.
Okay.
So the first gunman that we kind of get sight of, really, is Lagann. And obviously, if you have seen the anime, it looks kind of like a face with short arms and legs that aren't even really proportional to any kind of body coming from it. They're just attached to the face. And that is Simone's personal gunman. And it seems to have mostly abilities that operate around the idea of drilling, which, correct me if I'm wrong, kind of tends to become a main theme of fighting over throughout the entire story.
Yeah.
And so then the second gunman that we eventually find is Gurren, and it was being piloted by a beast man, and it was kind of taken over by one of the other characters in the series, Kamina. And it was eventually redesigned to be more like a head with arms and legs, again coming out of the body, but the arms and legs are about the same size as the body itself. So it looks kind of like a body without a head, and with a face on the big body.
Yes. And also
That's
some
awesome.
groovy ass shades.
Yes, and
Not
those
to mention
shades
that
do
this
come in
is like
handy.
the first anime ever where sunglasses have been used as an ultimate weapon.
It really has. And
Yeah.
oh
That's
my
amazing.
It is a
God.
I
pretty
have
great
so much
weapon.
respect.
Anyways,
I know
and
it
then
puts the
a
cheap
few of the
sunglasses
other
on.
mechs that we kind of get a sight of are Gurren Lagann, which from what I understand is kind of like a transport
Hold on,
ship
wait,
for the
before we
Beastmen.
Before we explain this, Nova has only seen the movie Childhood End, and
The first 5 episodes. Basically.
yeah, first 5 episodes.
Which technically count as most of them.
I have constantly rewatched and everything, obviously considering that I went through all this analysis and all like that. So, and Nerdy over here has seen all of it, yes? Yeah.
Alright, so just for the records, I, Rune, have never seen Gurren Lagann. Nova over here has seen the first 5 episodes of, what was it?
Gurren Lagann.
And he saw the movie that was Childhood End.
Alright, and then of course Midget has not seen Gurren Lagann.
I'm afraid not.
And
Nope.
Nerdy over here has seen
His
all
fair
of
share.
Gurren Lagann. And of course, our Gurren Lagann expert over here, Zork, is obviously seeing all of it. So he's basically where most of our information comes from.
All of it.
And just for the record, Midget and Nerdy here are big founders of the Little People, considering Gurren Lagann's position with the small.
I'm sorry, what just came out of your mouth?
We're keeping that.
I hate you.
All right. Anyways, another one of the mechs that come into the series is the Art Gurren, which, in the beginning, it kind of starts out as a flagship in order to transfer the Beastmen and kind of to basically transport ship that has spacefaring capabilities for up to a year. And then Super Galaxy Gurren Lagann seems to be kind of more of an upgraded form of Gurren Lagann put together. And it's basically kind of like a giant battleship. And then Tengen Toppa Gurren Lagann is...
Tengen Toppa.
Tengen Toppa Gurren Lagann
That's an awesome
is a
name.
very powerful robot that is made up of most of the team of Dai Gurren and their various...
The size comparison alone on it is bigger than our galaxy.
Yes, and this is really one of the biggest gunmen there are because they fuse together so many of them. And that can actually transform into the Super Tengen Toppa Gurren Lagann, which is even more powerful and even more massive and scary as all hell. And then that's really it for the more notable robots, but there are a few more in the series which I have a feeling Zork will want to go over.
The Lagann is basically a robot that was completely designed, that was the first draft of Gurren Lagann. Gurren Lagann was made from Lagann. Lagann was the first one, like period, and then they kept making more and more out of it. So that would mean Lagann would be the most powerful, but obviously considering Simone's amazing ability to spiral his power, like get his power to keep growing, he just said, "Nah, man, I'm gonna mess you up. Mama told me knock you out." And then he put his drill in the guy, and then he.
Yeah!
And
where
then
the action
weird
went.
Blood everywhere.
No, it wasn't. There wasn't even blood everywhere. He just was kind of just standing there like a badass, like, "Yeah, well, I failed at my job. Crap," and falls over. Spiral King's so cool.
No, that was the reference. She Jams is drill.
Yeah, I said that. Wait, what? Oh, okay.
Yes. Please put your mind in the mindset of my mindset.
Dude, I'm putting my mindset in like this deep analysis that I spent 3 hours doing. Yes, by the way, I have like tons of papers that have like tons of different things. Like I have like
boss.
9 papers.
Maybe you should be nerdy and I should be Zork.
Right?
All right, so let's get over to what Wiki calls notable capabilities, and a lot of these, basically all of these, I'm going to be pulling directly off the Wiki. But there's obviously one of the biggest abilities of Gurren Lagann is the gunman integration, which is basically the Gurren Lagann can integrate other robots into itself, much like a fusion. And it's not just like
Fusion.
and it's not just like adding on different robots to its body. It absorbs the robot and makes its own style completely different. So instead of getting like a bunch of blocks stacked on top of each other, it's like you take all the blocks, melt them down, and make it into one big shape. So the colors are all fused evenly throughout, and it just looks really cool and awesome.
And if you're wondering how that's even possible, considering the fact that how can 2 metal machines combine together? I'm going to take a direct quote from Kamina and just... It's fighting power!
God damn it.
Let's hope that we did not just blister our readers' ears and make them bleed.
Rest in peace, headphones.
It's called you melt metal and you combine them. And
No, it's fighting power!
All right, and then there's the Giga Drill Break, which
Dang.
Gurren Lagann pins his opponents by throwing its sunglasses as a boomerang, and they split in 2. And once they've got the mecha pinned in the air, they shoot a Giga Drill out while screaming the attack's name, which goes straight through the mecha, which is followed by an explosion of the mecha, and then the shades go back to Gurren Lagann's lower base.
But as Nerdy says, it's giggity. What was the attack called? You say giga drill.
Giga drill.
Giggity Drill
giga
Break.
Giggity giga drill. It's... Oh my god, though! To express how awesome it was!
It does look
about
pretty
this
awesome.
Someone gets kind of bothered when like anime characters just shout out the attack's names right before they.
Okay,
do it.
no, Kamina
Yeah,
had full
kinda.
defense because he only would shout out. Like,
I realize that, but still, it's just like it's kind of stupid.
It gets a little bit old. Really
Nothing about
fast.
Gurren Lagann's stupid. You can shut up.
No,
Okay,
Gurren
okay.
Lagann is an awesome show. I'm just
Okay, no,
like
it's not
pointing
just
out
that. It's for everything in general. Like,
No, I'm just kind
Let
of
me-
pointing out that it's kind of stupid that they shout out the attack's name right before they do it. Can they do it right after?
if Dragon Ball Z got away with it for 10 years, I'm sure Gurren Lagann can get away with it.
All right, the next attack that I'm going to go over
Sensuken.
is
Hold on.
the Giga Drill Maximum, which is when Gurren Lagann surrounds itself with Giga Drills to do damage to all mechas around it. And that's a direct quote off Wiki because this thing is short as heck. But can you explain that a little bit, Zork?
Oh, to explain, like, okay, the drills basically, like, I'm gonna be honest, a lot of them are mostly for show, but, like, when he's in attack mode and he's actually, like, when they're in a battle and they do come out, they're unbreakable, and they mostly are for, like, stabbing people, like, with, like, for, like, basically, think of a shin guard. It's basically like that, but all over you, and you get to stab them. Be like, yeah. Also, they could shoot out
That's
from him.
awesome.
Okay, and then
Considering
another one of the talents is Double Boomerang, where Gurren Lagann takes off his wings and sunglasses and throws them as boomerangs at the target. Does that actually, like, cut through the target? Or...
Yeah, it cuts through the target.
All right. And then Art Gurren Lagann, the one that is basically a giant transport ship, has space-time shattering burst spinning punch. Now, that is a mouthful.
You know.
That.
After so long from Gurren Lagann, they've probably forgotten all about the double boomerang. It'll come back to them.
Oh, my. And
Okay, no, hold on. I have to talk about one power that's probably not on there. No. Probability altering missiles. Missiles that can alter probability. Just period. It can change probability. Like, that's like saying, like, oh, I'm going to do all my work today. So you get hit with a missile. Oh, I got laziness. Missile hit me.
No, it's just like with that attack of, taking off the wings and tossing about it, it's just like that Limp Bizkit song, just keep throwing.
Throwing it.
Anyways, the space-time shattering burst spinning punch is a massive uppercut charged with spiral energy. Now that thing is able to shatter the fabric of space-time, which sends the victim flying right out of the universe.
Yep.
Which means not only can they get their opponents in penetration, but they can screw over the universe.
Exactly.
All right, and then Arc.
That's gross.
Yeah.
And then the next attack is Arc
That's
Giga
painful.
Drill Break, where it's basically Gurren Lagann's Gigan Drill Break, but sized for the Arc Giga Gurren Lagann. The Super Galaxy Gurren Lagann has shoulder drills, which instead of the drills coming out in spiral energy like the other forms of Gurren Lagann, the Gurren Lagann detaches the drills on its shoulders and attaches them over its hands, which is they can be placed on top of each other for a stronger attack. The Super Galaxy Mega Cutter, where it removes its massive sunglasses from its torso and throws them like a boomerang. The Super Galaxy Giga Drill Break, which is the same as the Giga Drill Breaker, but it's even more powerful. And
There seems to be a running trend of that it gets bigger, and so does the attack.
it really
Anyways,
does.
but actually, no. There's a reason, because like they don't really emphasize this in the show as they do in the movies. But it takes a lot of energy out of Simone to do these attacks, and that he keeps going with it is amazing. It's like literally, I don't think any human on Earth besides Simone or any person who has that much motivation, because I mean, come on, you can't tell me that. Oh wait, never mind. That's not a motivational speech.
Well, it's
That would probably be a line. It keeps getting bigger for a stronger attack.
Yeah.
Honestly, if
Well,
I were to try to dumb that down into an easier to manage reference for those of us who haven't read Gurren Lagann but know a few of the other more popular series, it would be almost like when Naruto runs out of chakra in the series
Chakra!
Naruto and just keeps going with just his fists. It's much like how he runs out of energy, but he just keeps going.
I know,
That's
a lot of them
nice.
have that same reference in every story. Like, there's always that one younger, shorter male character that seems to have more energy than anybody else. They talk about it in Dragon Ball Z. Basically, every anime that there is, that there's, oh my god, he's so strong. How is this possible, kind of thing.
Well, if you like
It's over
to be
9,000.
fair,
There you go.
I know, but it's like what you were saying about how they always name their attacks before they attack. Well, I mean, let me attack you without naming my attack, said no anime character ever. And
you go.
to the point to where Simone's energy is seemingly to what limitless. They just seem to keep getting bigger and stronger and bigger and stronger.
okay, to be fair though, with Simone though, he's actually supposed to represent humans in general, and Kamina is supposed to represent willpower and spirit. So
For a second, I thought you said communist. And I was like, what? That's what I could swear you said.
well, you never know. Kamina does mean communism means sharing, so that could mean sharing energy.
You would.
Well, I just found out that Ichigo from Bleach, Ichigo actually means strawberry. So they're
Ooh.
just referring to him just
Did
for
you
the
know
fact
that
he's a
every
ginger.
character in Dragon Ball Z is named after some sort of food?
Talk about
so
eating
is,
disorder.
and so is Naruto.
What does Goku mean?
Oh, I don't remember. I think I know Vegeta means like carrot or something.
Yeah, Vegeta.
And then
Vegeta.
I think Goku's like, do you know?
Okay, guys, so
Never
they did Five Nights at Freddy's with Kremlin and Vegeta and their voices. It's priceless. It's priceless.
I know.
Goku actually means
Was it
sky
Krillin?
in Japanese, so just for the record,
Oh.
throwing that
Oh,
out
that
there.
actually kind of makes sense. He's running around on a cloud.
Yeah, I mean, he's got the little cloud that you have to have a pure heart for.
The
I don't
Nimbus.
really know how that still works after he gets married and has kids, though,
What
but
explains
Yeah.
somehow it still does.
It explains
Don't
why he's always
worry.
so high.
He didn't stop training. They imply it in the first episode that he just continuously trained.
True. Either way, so back to Gurren Lagann instead of all the other animes. Tengen Toppa Gurren Lagann is the last one that we actually have on this list, but he's got an attack called I've Got the Best Wife in the Universe swing.
Okay, to explain that, they
That's
make
awesome.
up the names as they call them out,
Yeah, so-
and the guy who's yelling it isn't Simone.
Dayaka.
Yeah, it's Dayaka, and he's, oh my god, he was just explaining how, like, he was going off and saying, like, they were all saying, like, why they're the ambition of the human spirit or something like that, and then he's like, I get it from my wife. So he grabs the anti-spiral, swings it around, and then says it. And it's like, and his also, like, do you know that they are the size of, like, the universe at this point? And, like, for some reason, the Earth can see and hear everything, even though sound doesn't travel through space.
What?
But it's Gurren Lagann, so it doesn't matter.
Alright, so the I've got the best wife in the universe swing actually detaches hooks from different parts of the Tengen Toppa Gurren Lagann, and that ties around the opposing mecha, and then they basically swing the mecha like an anime character usually swings other people, and just lets go and lets the opposing mecha fall into whatever direction it is currently falling in. The Fist Barrage, which is an unnamed attack, which is made by the surviving members of Team Dai-Gurren, but the Tengen Toppa Gurren Lagann shoots out barrages of fists to attack the Grand Zaboma, and it only occurs in the movie. And then Matter Creation, which Gurren Lagann can, via command from a pilot, create and manipulate matter from spiral energy that its user desires, which I assume is extremely helpful in combat when you can make anything you want.
Yeah, well, no, actually, no. Like, the thing is that it can create it through, like, fighting spirit, but once they get this big out there, like, into the universe, it's not because of divine will and fighting spirit. It's more because they're so deep in the universe that pure thought creates anything. Yeah, which actually, if you think about it, would make sense, considering, like, if you...
Everything, you just think about it, and then it's created the next day.
Yeah.
I hate when people do
No,
that.
it's not
When you
created
have
in-
an idea, and then the next day you go, I'm going to actually make this, and someone already did it and said,
No,
It's my idea now.
it simultaneously
Hate that.
makes as you think about it.
oh, that's
That's
kind of
why
cool.
they say put
Yeah.
good thoughts into the universe, because when you think positive thoughts, positive things get created, and that's why they put it in the show.
Exactly.
Yeah, sure, Peter Pan.
Well, I mean, considering that the show is completely super...
Fucking fairy dust, motherfucker.
Can we keep that in
Get your candy ass shit out of here.
there? Can we keep that?
Fine.
I love, though, that, like, okay,
You're the one that flies like him anyway.
You're probably in, like, fucking Candyland and then throwing fairy dust everywhere. Like,
Two pistols and a wink.
Okay, before we go on, I just want to say how happy I am that we took so much time with analysis and talking about, like, everything that makes Gurren Lagann. One, I want to say my favorite line of Kamina's that he's ever said.
Sounds like communists.
Right, shut up. Right when he takes the first, gunman. So, crap. I'm going on like 30 different things. So the first thing he says is, remember this beast, combining where two fighting spirits collide. It's where a man's spirit is ablaze. The farthest combination, Gurren Lagann. Who the hell do you think we are? From now on, this next mech's name is Gurren Lagann. And I know you guys don't care, but you understand why that's a good line, right? Also, not only that, but the universe speech that he has.
also gonna be a line in bed.
Whoa!
Oh my god.
Talk about killer.
And on that note, we are going to be ending the episode for today.
Because Zork is fangirling too much to concentrate.
Tis very true.
Oh my
Anywho, thank you all for listening to our episode. It really means a lot to us when we have listeners who actually like what we're saying. It's a very strange experience for us, but if you want to keep up with us, we're going to have a few more episodes out by the time this episode gets out. We're on Tumblr as Otakuspect, and this should be released to YouTube, but eventually in the future we will have episodes most likely on SoundCloud and maybe even iTunes, so we'll be seeing where this takes us. Please just leave us any comments you want, and we will be very happy to answer anything that you can send us. Thank you very much for coming and listening to Otakuspect. I'm Rune.
I'm Nova.
I'm Zork!
I'm AJ.
And this has been Otakuspect. Thanks so much for listening.